Okay, so we're going to go over your genetics test, but because you took it online without a paper copy, we're going to actually use the blank paper copy of the test so that you will have something to help you study for your semester exam, which will include all of this information and everything we studied for the end of the year. You should have a slip of paper at the front, and it has your name here. I blacked out the person's name here because I'm just using this as an example. The first box that you see has a yes or a no. That means, did you pass the test? If you made 70 or better, it says yes. If you made less than 70, it says no. The next box with the number in it, that is your actual score, and you can cross out the other number. It doesn't mean anything. This is the score that should be on the front of your test booklet. That's what you made. Now, the rest of these boxes, each one represents a question. So, for example, the first few questions, the first three, had more than one answer. So on question one, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you had to choose. This person has 2. That means they got 2 out of the 4. The next one, there was 1, 2, 3 things. They got 1 out of the 3. The third one, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. They got 1 out of the 5. So we're going to go through and we're going to answer these questions. But when you're trying to figure out which ones did you miss, you're going to count. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the first one that this person has a letter in the box. The letter is the answer that is incorrect, the answer they put on their test booklet. So the answer is not D. Okay, it's either A, B, or C. If it has a plus, that means you got credit. It's correct. You got the correct answer. Okay, so this one, I want you to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want you to flip to question 8, and I want you to circle if you had missed that one, and then whatever, for example, this person picked D, so we're going to put an X on letter D because that's what they put and it's not right. Okay, they also have a letter in the next one, so that means they missed number 9 and they put A, so it's not letter A. And then so this would be 10, 11, 12. Wherever there's a letter, you missed that question. So you're going to circle it and find the correct answer. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. You can pause the video. And then now we're going to go over the correct answers. So neatly circle. I'm going to highlight. Cells divide for 2 main reasons, reproduction and growth and repair. When a bacteria divides into 2 cells, this is an example of asexual reproduction. This happens because a type of cell division called mitosis, which results in 2 cells that are identical to genetically to each other. If you were to have a scrape on your knee after falling off your bicycle, the next week your body would have been able to replace those missing or damaged skin cells. This happens because of a type of cell division called mitosis, which is an example of growth and repair in this case, which produces cells that are identical genetically to each other. When organisms produce gametes, also called egg or sperm cells, this happens because of a type of cell division called meiosis. This makes sexual reproduction possible because it produces cells that contain half of the genetic material, the original, which is why they are described as being haploid. The resulting offspring from this will be genetically different from the original organisms and siblings. The second part, there were 8 possible answers. So whatever number you got, that's how many you got right. We are comparing meiosis and mitosis, and this would be qualities of both. So having the nucleus divide 1 time would be mitosis. A nucleus that divides 2 times, that's involved in meiosis. Produces sex cells, meiosis. Produces body cells, or sometimes called somatic cells, mitosis. Produces 2 diploid or full chromosome cells, mitosis. A type of cell division. They are both a type of cell division. DNA is copied or replicated in both meiosis and mitosis. Haploid cells, 4 haploid cells are produced, or half the genetic information in meiosis. Comparing asexual and sexual reproduction, 2 parents, sexual, 1 parent, asexual. Faster rate of producing offspring, asexual. Ensures the survival of the species, both of them do. Passes genetic information from one generation to the next, both of them do. Genetic variation or differences involved in sexual reproduction. Requires complex structures, sexual reproduction. Produces clones, asexual. Okay. I want you to read each question that you missed and then put an arrow to the answer that you wish you would have picked first. And then listen to the rest of the video to go over it. That way you will actually get some reinforcement of what you're supposed to have learned. A photograph of a litter of 6-week-old bulldog puppies shows that the puppies are not identical. Even though the puppies have the same parents, they do not all look alike because A, they were produced by asexual cloning. B, some of the puppies have genetic material from only one of the parents. C, each puppy has a different combination of genetic material as a result of sexual reproduction. D, all the puppies develop from the same fertilized egg. C. Sexual reproduction, A, results in genetic variation in offspring. B, produces offspring that are genetically identical to the parent. C, decreases the chance of survival of the species. D, results in genetic material being donated to the offspring by only one parent. What would be a possible disadvantage of asexual reproduction? The ability to reproduce in the absence of a mate. That is asexual, but it is an advantage. Results in a low genetic variation of the species. That is true of asexual, and it is a disadvantage. Allows for more genetic variation of the offspring. That's false. Takes less time. That is also false. So it would be D. Female Komodo dragons can reproduce using a process called parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is a form of asexual reproduction where an unfertilized egg develops into an offspring. Which of the following is an advantage of an offspring formed from parthenogenesis? Now, parthenogenesis, we said, was asexual reproduction. So, this person had guessed the genetic diversity is increased in the offspring. Asexual, no genetic diversity, so it's not that. The population can form in a new area from an individual organism. Offspring are more resistant to disease than their parent. They're clones. They aren't any more than anything. Members of the population are genetically similar. They're genetically identical. Most people that miss this pick D, but it should have been. Hydra reproduce by a process known as budding, which is a process where the formation of a new individual that is a clone to the parent. This is a type of sexual sporulation, asexual binary fission. It's asexual. Eye color is a trait that 2 parents could pass on to their children, even though the trait might not be expressed in the parents. Such a trait is considered to be acquired, inherited, neutral, positive. It is inherited. They could have also put recessive, and it would have been a good answer too. The amoeba in this unicellular protozoan has no fixed shape. It moves by constantly changing the shape of its body. One type of amoeba, Amoeba proteus, reproduces asexually through a process known as binary fission. The cell divides into 2 separate cells, the original parent cell and the new cell. According to the information and the image above, which of the following statements best describes the new amoeba cell? The new amoeba cell only contains half of the genetic material from its parent amoeba cell. The new amoeba cell is a different species than the parent amoeba cell. The amoeba cell received half of its genetic material from each parent. It only has one. The new amoeba cell is genetically identical to the parent amoeba cell. The group of students prepared a table listing the types of reproduction that occur in several organisms based on the information which of the organisms can produce offspring that are genetically identical to the parent. Now, we know that we're looking for asexual. So, amoebas reproduce asexually. Yeast can do either way. Cats are sexual, so no cats. Hydras, both sexual and asexual. Frogs, no frogs. Ferns, both sexual and asexual. So, choices are ferns only, amoeba and yeast only, cats, no, amoebas, yeast, hydra, and ferns. The diagram below represents different processes involved in reproduction. Which diagram represents sexual reproduction? Now, in a question before, they told us that hydra was asexual and amoeba was asexual. So we know for sure those are out. Here we have an egg and a sperm, so that's definitely sexual. Flower, we talked about how the pollen is actually plant sperm. So we could do process of elimination. Anything that has 3 or 4 we could get rid of. And so then we would have 1 and 2. So flowers and the one with the egg in the sperm. Which of the following scenarios of reproduction is likely to form uniform offspring? Uniform means same. So pollen from one flower pollinates the egg of another flower to produce seeds. If you have an egg, then that is sexual. A female fish lays unfertilized eggs, male fertilized, that's sexual. Spores are formed from 2 cells, each from individual organisms, that's 2 parents, that's sexual. Amoeba splits during binary fission into 2 separate cells. That is the example that is going to give you uniform or same offspring because it's asexual. This man was a gardener and a monk, and he spent many years studying different pea plants. He is known as the father of genetics, which is the study of heredity. Theodor Schwann, Gregor Mendel, Dmitry Mendeleev, Robert Hooke. Hooke named the cell. Schwann said all animals are made of cells. And Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics. Dmitry Mendeleev happens to be the person that organized the periodic table. Which term means an organism inherits 2 identical dominant genes? Identical, dominant. So it's not going to be recessive. Identical is homozygous. So it's widow's peak is a dominant trait in humans if 2 individuals have a heterozygous gene. So capital W, little w. Capital W, little w. Go ahead and fill in your Punnett square. And you will have they want to know what is the chance that the offspring have a widow's peak. So this one's going to have a widow's peak, this one's going to have a widow's peak, and this one's going to have a widow's peak, which is 75%. Here you've got purple flowers in orchids are dominant, white flower is recessive. 2 purple orchids that are heterozygous, one capital, one lowercase. Fill in your Punnett square. They want to know what is the chance you're going to have white flowers, which is your recessive trait. 25%. Organism inherits the genetic instructions from the organism's offspring, the organism's parents, the organism's mating partner, the organism's prey. Definitely from the parents. Heredity is defined as the passage of genetic instructions from one generation to the next. Which of the following is not an example of these genetic instructions in humans? Height, skin color, dimples, spoken language. That's learned or acquired. 22. A mother and a father contribute sex cells which combine to produce an offspring. Each sex cell is going to contribute 1/4 of the normal number of chromosomes, 1/2 of the normal number of chromosomes. The normal number of chromosomes are twice the number. They're each contributing half. We inherit traits from our mother and father. Genes carry the information to influence one trait over another. The genes are contained in the chromosomes. How many chromosomes do we get from our mother? Half, which is 23. Where is the genetic material that determines the inherited traits of an organism located in a eukaryotic cell? I had people that missed this and it made me want to cry. Cytoplasm, vacuole, nucleus, ribosome. Nucleus for a eukaryotic cell. Cytoplasm if it was prokaryotic. But either of the others, oh my. In a species of fish, some of the fish have long fins and some of them have short fins. The allele for long fins, capital F, is dominant over the allele for short fins. In a group of fish, one fish has a genotype of capital F, and has long fins. The other one has a genotype of little f, and has short fins. These two fish mate, and they produce many offspring. Select all of the possible genotypes this offspring could have. All of these have that genotype. Heterozygous. In rabbits, all fur colors are variations of 4 basic colors. 2 of the colors are black and chocolate. Black is dominant and chocolate is recessive. When a black rabbit and a chocolate rabbit produce offspring, there's a 75% chance that that offspring will be black. This process of passing instructions from one generation to the next is called heredity, not adaptation, not fertilization, not genetics. And that was actually told to you on question 21. It literally gave you the answer. 27. If a cat has 38 chromosomes in its body cells, how many chromosomes will be in each daughter cell after mitosis? 11, 19, 38, 76. 38. It's a body cell. Mitosis. 28. You have a photograph of an onion root tip during mitosis. Which phase of mitosis is occurring in the cell indicated by the arrow? Here we are. They're going apart. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. That's an anaphase. The base sequence of a segment of DNA is shown. What base sequence correctly completes DNA strand 2? G goes with C, car in the garage. Okay. Apple in the tree. A goes with C. So this is answer C. Which of the following is not an example of heredity? Lions showing their cubs how to hunt for prey. Bacteria reproducing asexually to create cells identical to the parent cell. A boy that's 5'10" which is taller than his father, that's 5'8". A red geranium bred with a white geranium to produce a pink geranium. This is the one that is not genetic, it's learned. And in a group of dachshund dogs, some of the individuals have rough fur and others have soft fur. In this group, the gene for the fur texture trait has 2 alleles. The allele capital F is for rough fur and the allele little f is for soft fur. Fido is a dachshund dog in the group that has rough fur. Fido has 1 allele for rough fur and 1 allele for soft fur. Based on the information, what is Fido's phenotype for fur texture trait? Phenotype means, what do I see when I look at the dog? I see rough fur. A flatworm is cut in half and grows into 2 flatworms. This is an example of which type of asexual reproduction. I have a fragment of a worm. Fragmentation. If the offspring receives 1 dominant trait for brown eyes and 1 recessive trait for blue eyes, what phenotype will the offspring have? Most people that missed this picked capital B, little b, because that's the genotype. But it will actually be brown eyes. That's what you see when you look at it. Now, you can save this. You're going to keep this to study for your semester exam, but I do want to give you the chance to get extra credit. So if you will draw a line somewhere on here and get your parent to sign that they've seen your grade, and return that, before we go to spring break. You can get extra 100 in the grade book. Actually, it's not an extra 100, it's an extra 10 points in the major test category. I will also be offering reteach, retest. Those of you that this score is less than 70, you have the chance to bring it up to a 70. I will do that on Monday, the 6th, and I'm sorry, Monday the 4th and Wednesday the 6th. If you are interested in doing that, it'll be after school till 4:30.